memories.
Back to Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs puts his foot in the ground and goodbye. Jahmyr Gibbs, touchdown Alabama. Hooker down the middle, got him on the fly. It's Hyatt again, and he's going to take it. Touchdown Tennessee. From 40, on the way, a knuckleball. He got it. And here they come.
And when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place in your house of memories. Baby, we built this house on memories. Take my picture now, shake it till you see it. And when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place.
Caleb Williams, Southern Cal.
Baby, we built this house on memories. Take my picture now, shake it till you see it. And when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place in your house of memories. In your house of memories. Promise me a place.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Big Game Lineup presented by All Content Entertainment. Week 0 is in the books. Week 1 is finally upon us, and while most of the top 25 will be enjoying their delicious cupcakes, there are still some diamonds in the rough, including our game of the week, as the Colorado Buffaloes travel to Fort Worth to take on the Cinderella story of last year's college football playoff, the TCU Horned Frogs, and unfortunately for TCU, that Cinderella story didn't end with a happy ending. With me, as always, Anthony Cruz.
Hey, how you doing, Logan?
Doing good. How are you? And Christopher Fanning.
Top of the morning to you, Logan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. And of course, I'm Logan Caldwell. Guys, the wait is over, and we're finally here. And we're starting off with a bang as Colorado takes on TCU in the Carter. The Carolinas vying for early season bragging rights, and number 5 LSU and number 8 Florida State are looking to make their case for the college football playoff in Week 1.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is what it is. We got Deion Sanders coming into Fort Worth, trying to make a real good start with his Buffaloes football program. They'll get the up and comers in TCU. You know, TCU had a magical run last year. It was simply they were undeniable. Then you get to the playoff, they beat and they upset Michigan. In fact, I mean, despite what anybody may have thought, we all thought that Michigan was going to the national championship. TCU shut that down. You know, didn't go well in the national championship, but it's one of the books. Be what the books are made of, if that makes sense. I'm so excited. I don't know anymore because now I just want to watch the game.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. Yeah, TCU did have a pretty nice run last year. Part of me thinks they got lucky against Michigan. You know, I just remember hearing the final score of them in the national championship and like, how does a team that did as well as they did get blown out the way they did? It made no sense to me. But that's last year. This is this year. They are facing Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes. My question is, how do you coach a coach you've never seen coach before? I know that sounds redundant, but I'm curious what Dion is going to bring. Dion played defense. I'm curious what he's going to bring to the field and to the plate against all of college football. He's got something to prove, and I'm excited to see what he wants to do.
Yeah, and then TCU is a offensive team, especially when you got like an offensive a conference like the Big 12. It
Oh yeah,
really is gonna it's gonna get the wheel turning in Dion's head on whether or not they could stop the pass and the run.
I
Well, we got a
agree
lot
with
to
that.
talk. Sorry. Well, we got a lot to talk about here in episode 2. We're going to start with week 0. Notre Dame with a dominant victory over Navy. Did the Irish make a statement for their playoff chase with that win? Chris, can we start with you?
Let's be 100% real. Navy is not the team it used to be. They are not the team that they were in the 60s and the 70s. They don't have a Roger Staubach behind center. They're not what they used to be 30, 40, 50 years ago. Notre Dame beat a mediocre Navy team. And I say that because they didn't change anything up. They ran that damn option, and it didn't when they threw the ball, they were successful. And you would think if you're successful, you would keep doing it. And there was a couple of times that they had receivers open that they just dropped the ball. And do I think they made a statement? No, I don't think they did. I think they should have beat them by more. That's my thing. They should have been maybe double that. I know we don't want people running up the score, but at the same time, they should have beat them by another 2 or 3 touchdowns. Easy. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I was not impressed. 0. And I mean, it was cool that they were in Dublin. That's awesome in itself, but I wasn't impressed by the shellacking they gave the Navy. What do you think, Anthony?
I mean, I kind of disagree because you need a team like Navy the way you did to get into the conversation of the college football playoff. You're right. Navy's not the team that it was back in the day. At this point, 10 year, Navy is only recognizable for the Army-Navy game in December. If anything, that's their bowl game every year. That's what it's come down to. When you look at a Notre Dame team, you got to understand they're not in a conference; they're in a team. They got a few games to make their case. When you look at it this way, Notre Dame needs every game, and they got to do it in spectacular fashion. While yes, you're right, 42-3 really isn't not too big of a blowout, but it's still a blowout. Only hold Navy to only 3 points. I mean, Sam Hartman went 251 in the passing game.
Yeah,
19 for 23. That's almost perfect. Perfect. 4 touchdowns. Sam Hartman got Notre Dame to hold off Navy to 3 points. I really believe that if you're going to play a cupcake like Navy, then you have to do it that way. And I still believe that it puts them in a playoff chase where it's not exactly something you would look at the same as a Georgia or Ohio State. It's still there. If this were a close game, if this were a 24-21 for Notre Dame, I would have said, but because of this, I still see him making the playoffs
here. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I want Notre Dame to be successful, and I want them to win the national championship. They haven't won one, and I think I was in high school last time they won one. So I want them to win, but at the same time, their schedule is iffy at best. They got a lot of cupcake. I mean, they play USC toward the end, and they play them every year, obviously. That's the only game I've seen on the schedule that makes me kind of worry, like, okay, this is going to be a test. And if you're not tested, you're not battle ready for the harder teams like the SEC teams, like Alabama or Georgia, even like an Oklahoma or a Texas. You're not ready for that. So they need to make that schedule a little bit harder or join a conference to where they can make a name for themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, we
More than they already have.
say that they need to join a conference to kind of get where they need to be in the playoff chases. But when you think about it, they're playing Ohio State, they're playing USC, they're playing Clemson. Like these, if they can beat those three teams, see them as college football playoff contenders. Yes, you're right. They're not in a conference, but look at what they're doing. They're playing different conference teams every. So if anything, that should up your resume.
You would think.
I mean, hope. Like I said,
Well, see,
but don't get me wrong.
I know the past couple of years
don't
when
get me
they
wrong,
made the football playoff.
Top 10 team.
Oh yeah, easily they're a top 10 team. No argument here. But my argument too is that when they would get to the football playoff, and they got there legitimately, and they would just choke. They would pull a TCU. They would just, okay, we're here. What do we do now? And it's, it just like the Buffalo Bills of the '90s. You got there, and you don't know what to do with it. And you can only do that so much before you get disgruntled, and then coaching changes start to happen and stuff like that. And we live in a day and age where it has to happen today, not tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's how all football is that way, or all sports in general are like that now.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's like boxing. One good punch kind of feel. There's that.
True.
Well, the Irish take on Tennessee State this Saturday at 2:30 on NBC. Meanwhile, in Fort Worth, the Horned Frogs are coming off a historic season after entering the college football playoff at the 3 seed, only to fall to the powerhouse of Georgia. TCU looks to attempt to repeat this historic run, but first, Coach Primetime Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes look to come into the Carter, hoping for a spoiler in Fort Worth. While the Horned Frogs on upset alert, Anthony, we'll start with you.
When it comes to TCU, they had a Cinderella reset. But you got to look at a few things. Max Duggan's not there no more. You have an up-and-coming who succeeded at Jacksonville. Now, yes, it is an FCS team. It's a SWAC conference team. But when you compare it to this year's TCU, I don't see TCU making a run as they did last year. Now, there are still questions to ask Colorado. Can they on that offensive team in an offensive? So I would put TCU alert just because there are uncertainties with the team. Like I said, Max Duggan's gone. He was great, 3,600 yards, but someone's got to know. And I really don't see TCU making the run they did. I think they will be successful. I think they will go probably close, but I don't see them being. I just don't see them like being the power they were last year. This will be close, but it's just gonna be something we have to watch out for.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they're going to be a one and done type of team this year. They're not going to be able to repeat what they did last year. And I do think TCU is on. The only reason we're calling this an upset is because the TCU is ranked. If this was two unranked teams, we would be having a completely different discussion. But that being said, Colorado needs to set their dominance in the Pac-12, just because that's a conference where, just like the SEC, if you lose one or two games, excuse me, your chances for the playoff diminish greatly. And again, I agree. Deion did play in a lower tier college football, coach a lower tier college program, but football players are football players. It's a lot of the times like when you're racing, I go to like racing and stuff like that. It's not the car, it's the driver. It's what the driver can do with the vehicle he has. And I believe that 100%. It's the coach. If the coach can motivate and get you at the same level they are, there's no limit to what you can or cannot do. And I think Dion is going to make a run. If not for, I'm going to call it now. I think Colorado. I know I may have picked differently, but I think Colorado may make the run for the Pac-12 conference championship. And if they do well, I see no reason why they're in the top four, the playoff this year. But we haven't seen them play yet, so I'm being kind of bold and kind of cocky about it. But at the same time, I do know Primetime's work ethic. I've seen it for many, many years, and yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, you got J.T. Stroud who transferred out of Colorado to Arkansas State. So now we're gonna have to wait and see who he's gonna choose to lead the reins on that as well. Because not only did he come in a lot of transfers from not only Jacksonville State, but he also transferred from other schools who wanted to play for Deion Sanders. So that's why I don't agree with 20.5 IU, because of that reason, they are still the favorites because TCU is a little bit more established. And
they're playing at home.
I would probably with.
Well, we'll have more on our game of the week throughout the show. Still to come, the Gators are headed to Salt Lake City for a big-time Pac-12 SEC showdown Thursday night against Utah. Plus, see what the crew has on the radar and our weekly selections. We got all this and more coming up on Big Game Lineup. Welcome back to Welcome back to Big Game Lineup presented by All Content Entertainment. In the Pac-12, Utah is just 24 hours away from meeting the Florida Gators in Salt Lake City. Utah's quarterback situation puts the Utes on upset alert, leaving running back Jaquindon Johnson to lead the offense. Can the Gators capitalize on Utah's quarterback woes? Anthony, we'll start with you.
The Utah Utes, I don't believe they are on upset alert just because of their running back. But we do have breaking news right now out of Utah. Cam Rising is not going to be, he is injured start week 1. But with LaQuindon, he does have the experience. He does have, but the question is, can he carry the offense enough to not only keep Utah close with Florida, to also keep her win the game? Because it's no small time. Every game that Utah has this year, well, at least 2 out of their 3 non-conference games are big time Florida and Baylor. So if they be in the not only in the Pac-12 hunt, national hunt, they have to come out undefeated against both teams. If not, they're sorry to say, but Utah may be a busted. If I can get my stats real quick.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I could piggyback off of that, is that the quarterback position is the one position that you need your best player at. You want your best quarterback in the game. And if you have, we saw it last year. I know this is college versus professional, but we saw it last year with San Francisco. They were down to a fourth string quarterback. And they still hung in the game, but at the end of the day, you want your best quarterback in the game because he's your best chance to get you that W. And if there's an injury if there's an injury like you're saying, then that just puts a lot of pressure on a quarterback that probably wasn't ready to go in for a big time game like this. And he needs to get thick skin and grow up real quick, because that's going to be that game is on ESPN, and that's the national spotlight in prime time. So I see no reason why Florida shouldn't win this game just because of that, because of the quarterback situation. Plus Florida's,
right.
They've always been a relatively good team. They're not at the Tim Tebow level they were over a decade ago, but they're still a good team. And so what stat you got for us?
Well, actually, it's not a stat; it's news. So with Cam Junior, Bryson's going to start, but Utah's going to keep Nate Johnson, their redshirt freshman, just in case Bryson is unsuccessful, because of the fact that they did not play last season. They are going to go ahead and keep both. They're probably going to switch them out more than likely. But I really don't. Utah's still the favorite at 6.5. So it really don't see I just don't see it when it comes to how Utah is favored. I would put it at even, because you were going on of both of the Cam Rising, and with him out of the equation, it just becomes one of those things. It's what I would call a coin flip game.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those. It could go either way. It could come down to a last-minute field goal, or just a last-minute, even overtime. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, and Florida's quarterback Graham Merritt, Wisconsin transfer, did pretty well. Only had about 34 career games. He only missed 2 of those. So this Florida quarterback is really 5,400 career yards, 30 touchdowns. I honestly, I am putting Utah on upset alert because of I gotta see this.
Yep, I would too.
Florida Utah will face off tomorrow night.
If Florida beats Utah, yeah, I got them on upset alert next year. If this could be, because with who Florida has, you got up and comers in Baylor. This might be a season for Utah.
Agreed.
Well, Florida and Utah will square off tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. On Monday night in Orlando, Florida, the LSU Tigers face off against Florida State in a top 10 showdown. Which team has more to lose coming into this game? Chris, we'll start with you.
I would think it'd be the Tigers. The LSU Tigers have a lot more to lose because they're in that SEC conference. And, that could be a loss here could be the difference between them going to the playoff and not going to the playoff. I mean, we've seen it many times where Alabama would lose a game early and then make that run. Of course, Alabama, comparing Alabama to LSU is like comparing apples to oranges. They're two completely different programs. And I don't think LSU has the national championships to back up that claim either. But at the same time, if you're playing in a game like this, Florida State, if they lose a game, they're in a conference to where they can afford to lose a game. That's not as strong as a conference as, say, the Big 12 or even the SEC. So losing one game, yeah, it hurts, but it won't hurt as much. It'll still put them in the, they could still be in the conference championship and get that bid for the playoff that are on down in the air. But yeah, I think LSU there's a lot of pressure on LSU right now to prove that they belong where they are and to get this win against a, not really a rival, but definitely a team that they should you want to beat everybody, but this is a team that you really want to beat for bragging rights. Anthony, what do you think?
Well, when it comes to who has more to lose, I think it's a kind of a both. Really would give it to Florida because of the conference that they're in. I mean, we thought that Clemson was a dynasty in college football, but then it kind of like just disappeared into the wind. So you got Florida State, who's trying to be an up and comer in that conference. If they want to make a statement not only for their conference but a college football playoff, they have to beat LSU. Meanwhile, you got LSU on the other side, the SEC, and wanting to not only take Alabama's spot in the West, they want to go back to a national championship, the same way that Joe Burrow took them. So the matter puts LSU up by 64 point, almost 65%. So if Florida State does not win, I really think that it doesn't put them out of the ACC, but it does put them out of the contention. You got other schools in other conferences in both the Big Ten, the Big 12, SEC. There are some real this year. So if Florida State cannot beat LSU, I mean, I honestly could say goodnight to the ACC in the college football playoff. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. Well, LSU and Florida State will face off at a neutral venue, of course, due to the Hurricane Ida at Capable Stadium in Orlando. When we come back, we're going to go under the radar and expose what you don't want to miss out on. And we're going to make our weekly selections coming up on a big game lineup. Welcome back to Big Game Lineup. Let's Welcome back to Big Game Lineup. Sorry, guys. Let's go under the radar, starting with Chris.
The thing I want to talk about is the economic impact that the Notre Dame and Navy game had in Dublin, Ireland this past weekend. It's something I did not know, that apparently the stadium that they held the game at hosts, of course, European soccer and rugby games, but they've also had other college football games from the NCAA, including Navy and Notre Dame back in '96 and 2012. But the economic impact from my notes here, it was more than $159 million in that week that they had. Not, people. That just shows how global the Notre Dame name is that people flew to Dublin, Ireland, to watch them play a team. Excuse me. A lot of people say that the city of Dublin, it's friendly, it's cheap, and it's definitely a lot cleaner. Um, people had nothing but nice things to say about them, and even the commentary team that was on there, they were talking about how friendly the people were there, how cool they were, how outgoing they were, towards the American public that was there. So that's a lot of money for a week, and that's 159 million in American dollars. I'm not sure the currency rate over in Ireland. I'm pretty sure it's probably the euro. I'm not sure if they're still in that or not, but that's still a lot of money that they generated in a week's worth of time.
All right. Well, mine is
A lot of beer.
actually these new
That's a lot of Guinness.
Yeah. Yes. You can't go to Ireland without a good pint. Okay. With mine, I
No,
got
you
a couple of documentaries on Netflix. You got the Johnny football documentary, and then you have the Swamp King documentary. I watched them both. Was it Monday? And at Urban Meyer's career, it not only just explains him as a coach in Florida, it also explains him as a person. And then you got people, and then you go over to the other Johnny Manziel, and it's like, well, when you thought you knew him, it was a lot worse than what it actually was. Drinking, the money. Oh my goodness, we just was just things that made him famous, but in reality, he started doing it because he was breaking with the NCAA and the signings, and then of course the pictures, the meet and greets. It he basically said, "Hey, if Texas A&M needs money in because of my success, why shouldn't I get a piece of it?" Nowadays you got the NIL rules, and I have with the NIL rules. I think they can be, but I still think that the players deserve to live in some ways. They need to make sure that they can survive college, because when you go in there, you don't necessarily have enough money. So these were two good documentaries. Of course, you see Johnny Manziel trying to get better as a person, going to rehab, drugs and the drinking. I root for the best for Johnny Manziel, because man, nobody should be going through all that. Kings, definitely recommend. It's Kings is episodic. It's a series, and then Johnny Manziel is an actual movie documentary. I recommend.
Okay.
They're amazing.
You talk about the NIL rules. I do know from firsthand experience that when, especially big name players that go to college and they get these full ride scholarships, they are well taken care of. So they live on campus for free. The schooling is free. The books are taken care of. They eat on the campus cafeteria for free. Any money they get outside of that is for going out and having fun. I would be a hypocrite to say that you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff, but I do like the fact that now college kids can get paid for their likeness, because if the college is making money, you deserve to have some of that money come back to you, because if your name is out there, you deserve to have the money. Period. Why should a university get rich off of you and you have nothing to show for it?
Yeah, I've seen it too. I don't say names, but I got a cut getting some free stuff out of, or maybe not free, but he's getting discounted stuff. The fact that he's playing college baseball, and that was, even discounts were not even allowed. The rule was, if the school do what they can do for everybody, it's just out of the question. So the rules are changing. I'm really happy about that.
Well, that's what happened with SMU back in the 80s, is that they were getting kickbacks, and that's what ended up ending that historic run with that SMU program back in the early 80s, is that people were taking kickbacks, they were getting money, and even with even with the Michigan Wolverines, back the Fab Five, they were getting money, and Chris Webber to this day will not even talk about it, and it's been 25, almost 30 years plus. So it's not uncommon for it.
There
to
was
happen.
another one. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. But from Oklahoma too. They were giving money, house. There was a lot going on back then. There, it's all a matter of like, this is all coming out now. But if you got in trouble, it was because of caught. There's 230 documentaries on Disney Plus that explain them. I forget. One of them's called the Pony Express, which is about SMU, and then you have the other one,
Yep.
the legend. His name. He's from Oklahoma. He was in Oklahoma back in like the 80s or something, and then just like completely vanished off the face. I gotta look into that, but that was a good one. They're both good.
And the same thing happened to Reggie Bush right after he won, or when he was in the NFL. All the allegations of his family in San Diego taking money. Being on the the USC program during that time was just doing some really shady stuff. And when they finally got, Pete Carroll didn't really see a whole lot of backlash from it because he was already in the NFL. But the program that was already there, they're the ones that suffered, which I've never agreed with that. You should punish the people that were a part of it, not the people that are there now, because they weren't there for that. They are not responsible for that.
And then they took Reggie's Heisman.
Which, if you want to be real, he didn't deserve it that year. If you want to be real, he didn't deserve it.
I already know where you're going with that. I already know who's.
Yeah, you already know.
I already know. I saw that documentary.
I watched. Period.
A lot of. Yes, he did. I saw that documentary too.
He got robbed.
I watch a lot of documentaries about that.
Yeah. I watched 30 for 30.
Trust me.
30 for 30 is my jam, man. I'll watch those. My favorite one is the Bill and Beer one. I love that one. No, I'm sorry, Christian Laettner. I'm sorry, Christian Laettner.
Since you like Notre Dame, there's one called Catholics versus Convicts. That one was.
I love that one. I fucking love it. Yes.
It pissed a lot of people off. Yes. The Convicts versus game. Oh my God! And that Jimmy Johnson was time, and Michael Irvin was part of that team.
Back for the U. Oh yeah, I know. Oh yeah. It was. Yeah. But then again, Miami was a very arrogant team back then. They ran around, but they were winning games. They were winning national championships.
Exactly.
So how are you going to tell them not to do something when they're winning? And even when they had these new when they had these new rules that came out of what you can and can't do, the video package they sent to colleges was a highlight reel of the Miami Hurricanes. That's all it was all Miami Hurricanes shit you can't do. It's freaking hilarious how they did that.
I'm gonna see if I can get in one of those shirts. I'm gonna wear it for you. I'm gonna wear Waco one day.
If you ever go to Florida, go to Miami.
Nobody would care because it's not.
It's not even
Florida.
Anymore,
oh God, dude, help. Nah, but there's still a bad taste in the mouth for that.
Agreed.
Logan, what do you got?
Yeah, well, before I get into that, first let me just say I always thought to myself as a child, like, why don't college football players get paid to playing football? They're putting their life on the line. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's unfortunate the lengths that players had to go to earn money. There's stories about players now in the NFL that sleep in their cars just to survive. And like I said, the lengths that players went to, or if the Reggie Bush situation. Reggie Bush was he was a really good running back. I think has something to do with the money, because if you're not a good football player, you're, like I said, you have to grind your way. You're gonna have to sleep in your car to get to where you want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, I don't know about that 100%, because if you're a scholarship player, you're not sleeping in your car. Let's be real. If you're a scholarship player, and not only that, if you're getting a free ride, they can give. Once you're there, if you're like, say, a walk, and this has happened before, where a walk-on comes on and does really well, they can still offer you a set scholarship. So I think it's exaggerated just to make it, oh, we had to struggle, dude. You had a fucking room to sleep in. You had a free meal every day. I mean, maybe I'm simple. I'd have been okay with that. I mean, do I want more money? Of course I do. But at the same time, my responsibility at that point is to get an education and to win football games in that order.
Well,
You were there to get an
I'm glad
education.
you said that. Well, hold on. I'm glad you said that because North Carolina got in trouble recently because they were giving these football players who had like these low GPAs that made them academically ineligible, and they went ahead and they said, hey, take the summer classes, but we're going to give you what we call paper classes. You show up and you get an A. And
yeah,
that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. Like, dude, you say that you're offering them, but they're not learning anything. So where's the education?
No.
And it sucks when these players go to the NFL and they get these big contracts and they blow out their knee and they have no backup plan. All they thought was football.
Yep.
And I've never blown out a knee. I mean, I'm 6'5" and my knees hurt anyway, but I've never blown out a knee, and I'm pretty sure it hurts like hell. So something like that,
I have,
that ends your career, and you've blown through all of your guaranteed signing bonus money. Then what? You've got nothing. Get the education. That should be that's the biggest. It's not just football. It's basketball too. They want to go for 1 year and then go to the NBA and make the guaranteed money. No, go get the education. The NBA is not going anywhere. It's going to be there for a while. It's been there for over 80 years. I'm pretty sure it ain't going anywhere. So don't be in such a hurry to become rich. I know I sound like a dad when I say this, but get the education. That is more important than getting all this money that you're probably going to blow through within a year anyway.
Oh yeah.
And that's established fact. Even back in the day of the USFL and the NFL back in the 80s, they give these guys these big contracts. And who was it? He played for the Vikings. I forget his name, but he was bankrupt. He was actually like 13 or 14 million in debt, and he tried to get a $20 million loan. I'm like, so you're going to go even deeper in debt at this point because I forget who it was. He was Adrian Peterson, that's who it was. Yeah, he just such a great talent, just a great player, and just went through his money. Like, I mean, they all can't be Shaq. Shaq invested in some pretty smart investments, and he's a very rich man. So
Well, anyway, I'm sorry we got sidetracked for a bit, but my under the radar, I kind of discovered this morning looking at ESPN News, and it's not exactly what's going on in college football now, but this Australian football player, and I don't mean rugby, I mean Australian football with their Australian rules, made the 53-man roster for the New Orleans Saints. He's a punter. His name is Lou Adley, I believe. Okay, he's 30 years old. He's a rookie punter. He played most of his life, of course, in Australia. He decided to move to the United States. He started with JUCO in San Francisco, I believe. At the age of 25, he got recruited to the University of Miami, where he averaged 45 yards a punt.
Holy crap!
I remember that.
The craziest thing about this is that he actually was drafted by the CFL. And then after he got drafted by the CFL, he was already planning on going to Canada, moving to Canada. But then the New Orleans Saints made the phone call, say, hey, you want to come try out with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. And he officially made a 53-man roster Tuesday.
Nice.
And he had already been drafted to the CFL. How crazy is that? And at 30 years old, I mean,
well,
I've seen.
I know. it doesn't happen. I mean, I know what was his name? Chris Wenke was like what 27, 28. He was old, an old rookie at quarterback. He played for I think Carolina. So it's uncommon, but it's not as uncommon. But it's still that's pretty cool that he had an idea to go to the CFL and do what he did. And like, no, come down to New Orleans and we get you some hot sauce and we'll put some steak on it. So that's actually pretty cool. And 45 yards
a lot of international players.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, and most of them are older than the ones that are here in the States because there's really not many options where they live. So when they come up here, they've already gone 20. I'm sorry, they've gone 5 years past their graduates from high school, and they're like, oh, I want to play for college, and then they do really well. They're out there, so it doesn't surprise me that he's successful in the NFL and the CFL.
I just don't understand why. I don't understand why they don't recruit soccer players more, because soccer players can boot the ball pretty far. They're supposed to kick the ball far. That's what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
So
I mean, Sarah,
I'm just shocked they don't. I'm surprised they don't go out and do that more often.
They do. They just don't talk about it.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, now it's time for our weekly predictions, starting with tomorrow's showdown on ESPN. Florida at Utah. Who we got, guys?
I'm looking for my picks because I don't want to screw. Oh, here we go. Florida and Utah. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm going to pick Florida. This is like I said, Utah. They're going on a second string quarterback. They got a redshirt quarterback at the helm just in case. I see Florida winning this. I'm going to be bold and say they're going to win it by at least 2 scores. 10 points maybe.
I got Utah, but it's going to be close. If Florida beats Utah, then Utah's in serious trouble. They lose to Florida alert against Baylor next week.
All right, let's get into some Saturday games, starting with Texas's last season in the Big 12, beginning with a home game against Rice. Who comes away with the win?
Do you even have to ask? Do you even have to ask? Come on, man. Come on. I bleed over. Let's go.
Yep. Yeah. I'm actually going to be there live at the 40 acres, so I'm really excited. It's going to be my first football.
So lucky. Oh, I've never been to a Texas game before.
I'm
That's
all
so
over
cool.
Yeah, I've been to the Texas against Baylor a couple years ago when they pulled off that upset, but it was in Austin. So this one's going to be a new experience.
Amy Wacko?
Okay, I'm there next week too. So I'm going all over.
All right, next up, the Cavaliers and the Volunteers, Virginia at Tennessee. Who's taking that one?
Who did I pick? I'm looking for. Oh, here we go. Tennessee. Come on.
Yeah, Tennessee. I got them too.
They're looking to make a run. They haven't had a run in a while, and they're in a really tough conference. So this definitely will be a make or break game for them.
Mm-hmm. But in order for them to start with their campaign to beat Georgia to make their way to the playoff, it starts with Virginia. But I still give it to Tennessee.
All right, well, Ohio State will kick off their season with a Big Ten matchup against Indiana. Who's taking that one?
Ohio State, come on.
Ohio State.
I know they're playing in Indiana, and Ohio State's number 3. Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Stomping all their way down there. There's no Indiana.
I mean, no way they're losing to Indiana is what you mean?
They're
The
losing.
Ohio State
The
University.
Ohio State's win. The Ohio State. I got that.
Yeah, same.
All right, on NBC during primetime, West Virginia travels to Happy Valley to take on Penn State.
Damn. It's hard for me not to go for Penn State. They have such a colorful history, and that is a nice way of putting it. But I definitely would pick Penn State over West Virginia. Yeah, that's all I got for that.
I wrestled with it. I wrestled, but I went ahead with Penn State because I just think there is momentum for them. I can see them in a run with the Big Ten. I do they come out and be playoff contenders, but I do got Penn State.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Just give me a minute. I'm sorry, guys. On NBC during at the same time on ABC, the Carolinas getting together for some early bragging rights. North and South Carolina. Who we got?
Well, I have a friend of mine whose daughter just got accepted to college, or is going to college in South Carolina to get her meteorology degree. However, North Carolina is going to whoop that ass. I mean,
yeah, there's nothing special about South Carolina.
Really, no. I've never even been there. That's how special it is. I've never been there before. That's how special it is.
Didn't they blow out Tennessee last season though?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yes,
Coach
they did.
It was a big victory over Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah. And that was just off. That was coming off of the Alabama win too. Yeah. But
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
this one's for Mac Brown. I'm going with North Carolina.
Oh, I forgot Mac Brown is there. Shit. Okay, yeah, even more reason to pick it.
Still there, so even better. Exactly. I got Northern too for that reason, just because it's Mac Brown.
Yep.
All right, and Sunday night features a top 10 showdown. The only game this week between two ranked teams, LSU and Florida State. Who will take the win?
Like I said before, I picked LSU only because they have a lot more to prove. They're in a really tough conference, and any win's a good win. I don't care if it's a last-second field goal. A win's a win, and against another ranked opponent that's in the top 10 with you, that's huge. That'll count. That should move them up, provided everybody else above them, fails.
Yeah, I think it's overrated. Only because I really haven't seen them really like a boost, an edge to it. So yeah, I'm going with LSU, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this is a blowout. I don't think this will be close.
Yeah, I'm with you. If OU didn't have a bust season, I would maybe consider Florida State, but yeah, that win over OU really didn't help him much. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with LSU.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and lastly, of course, our game of the week. The TCU Horned Frogs are looking to repeat their historic season while singing the way is Coach Primetime Deion Sanders. Looking to lead his Buffaloes to the promised land. We're going to start with Chris.
You know what? I initially had TCU winning this game, but upon further review, I am putting TCU on upset alert. I am picking Colorado to win this game.
Wow, you're going bold on this one, aren't you?
You know what?
I
don't really care. It's the first week. I don't give a shit.
Yep. Yeah. Give. That's what they say. But here, look, I got to show y'all. Look at this. I made this TCU inspired Heart of College Football T-shirt for my brother-in-law and his wife. Look at that. Beautiful, ain't it? Look, I even got our affiliates, the Ninja in there. Nope. Nope. I'm going with Colorado. I'm not picking for anything. No.
See,
There.
and I said
I'm
it. I said it earlier, and I'll say it. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Last year was a fluke. They had an unbelievable run, but I think there's nothing left in the tank. I think they're done. And the fact that they got blown out. The fact that they got blown out in AT&T Stadium, which would have been a home game for them, and they still got blown out. Ugh.
Well, they didn't really get blown out. It was an overtime win. But even then, that was a game that they should have won. Max Duggan. But no.
I must be thinking of a different game then.
You probably are. Well, it was Georgia that blew them out in the national championship.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's the game I'm thinking of. Is the Georgia game where they just blew the doors off of them. Like they didn't belong. Right. And it's funny. I watched a TikTok like the day after. There was two girls there that were like, I can't believe it. We came all the way to this game when they didn't have any TCU merchandise. I'm like, they probably burned it all because this was after the game. Like, they probably burned it all because of bad luck because y'all got blown the fuck out.
I got a buddy who's a TCU fan, so if he sees it, he's not going to be happy with what I do.
I actually have a video that I did a couple of years ago when I went to Dallas, and we were right by the practice field for TCU, and there's a video of me holding up my Longhorn jersey and giving TCU the finger. And I've got it somewhere on my Facebook. I got to find it and post it. But yeah, it's pretty much me going, "Go Longhorns, FTCU," and you can hear the Texas battle cry in the background. That's my buddy edited the video. Hey man, I hold grudges, man. I am very devoted to my teams. I love my teams, and I hate my teams just the same. I love them and I hate them at the same time. If they suck, I'll talk shit. If they're doing well, I will praise them. It's a love-hate relationship. I think I learned that being a Cowboys fan.
But even I'm a Baylor guy, so of course I'm not going for TCU for anything. Even when they beat the semifinals, all I could say on just F TCU. That's all I could say.
That's funny.
That's all I wanted to say.
But true.
That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, jeez.
Well, until we see what the new TCU quarterback can do, because Max Duggan, he's in the NFL now. Or actually, I think he recently just got cut by a team, unfortunately. But until we see what the TCU this year can do, I got Colorado, guys. I'm sorry. We've seen the videos of Deion Sanders, his motivational speeches, just second to none. His philosophy, and like who cares what he did at Jackson State? It's still football. Football's football. If you can get a player motivated to be where the coach wants to be, which obviously for every team is a national title game, then it shouldn't matter like how well, it doesn't matter how good your offense defense is, but how well it plays. If you can get your players to be on the same page like that, I do see Colorado as a sleeper to win the Pac-12.
It's our
I got Colorado.
last season in the
Yeah,
they're gonna return to Big 12 next season.
There's a lot of last season teams that are going to try to make that run to make it historic. So there's going to be a lot. I think a lot of teams are going to be on upset alert this year, more than normal, just because they're out to prove themselves.
Yeah, the craziest thing about the realignments is there's going to be 4 teams left in the Pac-12 after this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not only that, they're fixing to take Oregon State and Cal into the ACC, or they're trying. We'll wait and see how that goes.
I mean, what they probably should do is make it 4 power conferences. Everybody's in a conference. Divide it up. Boom.
Mhm.
You got the 2 up here, the 2 down here. Sort and divide. You know, and then from there you have a playoff, and you figure it out from there. Because there's like how many NCAA teams are like 132, something like that.
133 Division I college.
A lot.
Yeah. See, so you could definitely even the playing field for everybody.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? I'm all about having these power conferences, but if you want to have a true power conference, make it 4. 4 power conferences. If you need to rename them, it doesn't matter. But the old formula doesn't. The old formula doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. There's no more. Oh, you're number 1. You're the champion. Which I never agreed with that. That's bullshit. You need to earn it. And I've seen teams that are number 1 get beat by a number 3 team in that bowl game. And okay, well, the number 2 is the winner. Like that makes 0 sense to me. If the number 3 beat number 1, they should be the champion. Period. Especially in that kind of setting. But yeah, what do I know? I'm just a fan.
It's good we have this college football playoff now because it's going to turn, I believe, 10 years old next season. We've already had it for 10 years.
Has it really been that long? Wow.
Yeah. It started in 2014, I believe. The first winner, of course, was Ohio State against Oregon.
Back when Oregon was a powerhouse.
Yep, that was Marcus Mariota, and G.R.I.T was with the Buckeyes, I believe.
Yes, he was.
Yep.
Who's now a Patriot. Bye.
All right, well, we want to thank you for joining us for Big Game Lineup. Big thanks to our sponsors. Florida and Utah tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. And our game of the week this Saturday, Colorado visiting TCU at 11 a.m. on Fox. Anthony, safe travels to you to go Austin. You're going to go live, I believe, right?
No, I'm not going live, but I'll have some videos and pictures that I'll share on.
I'm saying this: if they don't win, don't come back. I know it's a long shot.
As if it's
I
going to
know
be
it's a
my
long
fault.
shot. Exactly. If you were there and they lost, we know who to blame.
Yep, there you
Facts.
go.
The gas money that would be wasted on that trip, man.
It's not that.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week, same time, same day. I'm Logan Caldwell on behalf on the entire crew, Anthony Cruz, Christopher Fanning. We want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Good night, guys.